The envelope trembled in Mark's hands as he stared at the company letterhead. After 5 years of struggling to make ends meet as a single father, working overtime and weekends at Horizon Technologies, this thin paper held his future. He never imagined that driving his intoxicated boss home from the company Christmas party would lead to this moment, a moment that would change everything for him and his daughter Emma. Before I continue this story that touched my heart, I'd love for you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support means everything, and it helps me bring more stories like this one to you every week. Now, let's get back to Mark and the choice that transformed his life. Mark Sullivan had been treading water since his wife's death 3 years ago. At 34, he found himself working as an administrative assistant at Horizon Technologies while raising 8-year-old Emma alone. Their small apartment was filled with love but little else. Each month was a careful balancing act of bills, groceries, and setting aside a few dollars for Emma's college fund, a jar that seemed to fill at an impossibly slow rate. His boss, Victoria Chen, was the company's youngest ever chief marketing officer. Known for her brilliant strategies and demanding standards, she rarely noticed Mark beyond his ability to schedule meetings and prepare reports. To her, he was simply efficient, a reliable cog in the corporate machine. Mark had heard whispers about her rise to the top, how she'd sacrificed personal relationships for professional success, how her office light burned late into the night. But their worlds rarely intersected beyond brief exchanges and email directives. The annual Christmas party wasn't something Mark particularly looked forward to. It meant finding a babysitter for Emma, an extra expense he could barely afford. But attendance was essentially mandatory, an unwritten rule of corporate culture. So there he was, nursing a single beer in the corner of the upscale downtown hotel ballroom, checking his watch every 15 minutes. "Not much of a party animal, are you, Sullivan?" The voice startled him. Victoria Chen stood beside him, her usual perfect composure slightly softened by what he guessed was several glasses of champagne. "Just thinking about getting home to my daughter," Mark replied honestly. Victoria's expression changed subtly. "You have a daughter? I didn't know that." "Emma. She's 8. And her mother? Passed away. Cancer. 3 years ago." Victoria was silent for a moment. "I'm sorry. That must be difficult." Before Mark could respond, the company CEO called Victoria to the center of the room for a toast to the marketing team's record-breaking year. Mark watched as she straightened her shoulders and transformed back into the confident executive everyone knew. 2 hours later, as the party wound down, Mark found Victoria sitting alone at the bar, staring into an empty glass. Her usual composure had completely dissolved. "Ms. Chen? Are you all right?" She looked up, her eyes struggling to focus. "Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Just celebrating another year of success and an empty apartment to go home to." Mark glanced around uncomfortably. Several executives had already noticed their CMO's condition, whispering behind cocktail napkins. Corporate politics were merciless, and Monday morning gossip could damage even Victoria's sterling reputation. "Let me call you a cab," Mark offered. "Already tried. It's Christmas week. Hour-long wait." She attempted to stand and swayed dangerously. Mark made a quick decision. "I can drive you home. My car's in the parking garage." The drive to Victoria's upscale downtown condo was mostly silent. She stared out the window at the Christmas lights blurring past, occasionally giving directions in a voice that sounded smaller than he'd ever heard from her. "Why are you doing this?" she finally asked as they pulled up to her building. "Doing what?" "Being kind." "I'm not exactly." She paused, searching for words, "known for my warmth." Mark shrugged. "It's Christmas. And everyone deserves kindness." Victoria studied his face as if seeing him for the first time. "You're a good person, Mark Sullivan. Better than most of us deserve." She reached for the door handle, then hesitated. "Your daughter, Emma, right?" What does she want for Christmas? The question caught him off guard. A bicycle. A purple one. But she'll understand if Santa brings something smaller this year. Victoria nodded slowly, then stepped out of the car. Thank you for the ride. I won't forget it. Mark watched until she safely entered her building, then drove to pick up Emma from the neighbor's apartment. He didn't give the interaction another thought. Victoria Chen lived in a different world, one of executive meetings and first-class flights. He had a night shift to work the next day and a daughter who needed breakfast in the morning. Monday at the office was surprisingly normal. Victoria nodded professionally when passing his desk, showing no sign of remembering their interaction. Mark was relieved, he hadn't wanted awkwardness or special treatment. The week progressed with the usual end-of-year rush, and Mark worked late every night to help prepare the annual reports. On Christmas Eve, after tucking an excited Emma into bed with promises that Santa would come overnight, Mark sat at their small kitchen table addressing Christmas cards. The knock at the door was unexpected. Two delivery men stood in the hallway beside a purple bicycle with a silver bow. One handed Mark an envelope. Are you Mark Sullivan? Delivery for you, sir. Need your signature here. Confused, Mark signed the form and accepted the envelope. Inside was a card with the Horizon Technologies logo and a handwritten note. Some thank yous can't wait until after the holidays. The kindness you showed wasn't just to your boss, but to a person who needed it. There's more waiting for you at the office after Christmas. Victoria. Mark stared at the bicycle in disbelief. Emma would be ecstatic in the morning. But what did Victoria mean by more waiting? He found out the day after Christmas when he returned to work. The envelope that now trembled in his hands contained not just a generous holiday bonus, but a letter offering him a new position, corporate social responsibility coordinator, with double his current salary and flexible hours designed for working parents. The note attached read simply, "Your kindness showed me what our company has been missing. We talk about corporate values but forget the humans behind them. Help us do better. The position is yours if you want it." Mark sat at his desk, overwhelmed. This wasn't charity, Victoria Chen didn't do charity. This was recognition of something he brought to the table that had value. Real value. That evening, as Emma rode her new bicycle around their apartment complex, Mark called the number Victoria had included in her note. "Why me?" he asked when she answered. There was a pause before Victoria replied. "The night you drove me home, I was at a low point. 3 promotions in 5 years, record profits for the company, and yet I spent Christmas Eve alone because I'd cancelled on my family again for work. You showed me kindness when you had every reason not to. Then I learned more about you, how you've raised your daughter alone, never missed a day of work, stayed late without complaint." She continued, her voice growing more confident. "Horizon needs people like you, Mark. People who understand that success isn't just measured in quarterly reports. I've been given authority to build this new department, and I want someone who inherently understands compassion to lead it." 6 months later, Mark's corporate social responsibility team had launched a childcare center for employees, a bereavement support program, and a mentorship initiative for single parents in the company. Emma was thriving in her new school, and Mark had finally moved them to an apartment with a bedroom for each of them. Victoria had changed too. She still drove the marketing department with precision and excellence, but she now left the office by 6 most evenings. Occasionally, she joined Mark and Emma for pizza and board games, moments of normalcy she claimed helped her strategic thinking. One evening, as Emma taught Victoria the finer points of her favorite card game, Mark realized how profoundly that Christmas party night had changed both their lives. A simple act of kindness, driving his drunk boss home, had created ripples neither could have anticipated. Sometimes the most meaningful thank yous aren't just about gratitude for what was done, but about recognizing what could be. Victoria had thanked Mark by seeing his potential and giving him the opportunity to reach it. And in doing so, she'd found something she hadn't realized she was missing: connection, purpose beyond profit, and the kind of friendship that made success meaningful. As for Mark, he learned that sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer another person isn't grand gestures or perfect solutions, but simply kindness when they need it most. We never know how that kindness might return to us in ways we never expected. The purple bicycle still sits in their new garage, a reminder that life can change direction as quickly as wheels can turn, especially when we're brave enough to extend kindness without expectation of return.